More now on what could be a defining game in Liverpool's hopes of regaining the Premier League title this season. They take on Manchester City on Sunday. They are 7 points ahead of the champions and they have a game in hand as well. Let's speak now live to Alex Gilday-Trott from the Kop TV, who joins us here on Sky Sports News. Alex, it's good to have you with us. Let's start with the story from today. Jurgen Klopp's claims that Manchester City benefited from a 2-week break, as he put it, after they were granted an extended layoff due to a COVID outbreak before Christmas. Guardiola didn't like that. He's hit back at the suggestion. Before I get your thoughts, let's just remind ourselves of what they had to say earlier.
We didn't have a break. I think City had a 2-week break for COVID reasons.
Jurgen has to see the calendar again. When I see Jurgen, I always say to him how many weeks or days we were off. I'm surprised. I thought Jurgen was not the type of manager like another ones. It's not usual to do it, so I didn't expect it, that comment.
What did you make of that then, Alex? Bit of beef between the two managers. Does that add to the spice ahead of the weekend?
Yeah, listen, Jules, thanks for having me first and foremost. Listen, of course it adds to the spice. When two teams like Liverpool and City play, these head-to-head, these mind games in the press conferences beforehand do nothing but kind of add a little bit of spice to the fire. I think, obviously, they've got a good relationship before, so I think that's maybe why Pep is a little bit surprised. I mean, when Klopp says that, I don't think he really means they are all sitting around a pool with their feet up with a pina colada in their hand. It was more of a COVID break, wasn't it? So, yeah, I think maybe Jurgen has rattled Pep a bit with that one. But listen, it's par for the course on the eve or weekend of a game like this.
And looking ahead to this big game then, and looking back firstly at what happened against Brighton and that home defeat in midweek. From that game, the good news for Liverpool is that Fabinho and Mane are back in training. Alisson, who was ill in midweek, looks to be recovering. If all three are fit, just how big a lift is that for Liverpool, given what happened against Brighton?
Yeah, it's huge. That game, I thought the Burnley game was an anomaly. That's a tongue twister on a Friday afternoon. But it clearly wasn't, because we lost then back-to-back at home to Brighton. And I think if there is a typical thing that Liverpool do this season, it's have a huge game and then not really follow that up. So it wouldn't really surprise me if we won on Sunday, 2 or 3 goals. It really wouldn't. But then it's about how we play after that. We've got a week's break with Leicester after, so it's all about putting 2 or 3 key performances together. Listen, we all love a big win, a one-off against the Wolves, a Leicester, a Tottenham earlier on in the season, a Chelsea, but we've never really followed that up. So if we can have Alisson, Mane, Firmino and Fabinho back in the fold, that will do nothing but increase our chances. But we can't forget, Jules, that Man City haven't won at Anfield since 2003. Joey Barton was pulling the strings in midfield, so it's been, with all respect to Joey Barton, it's been a while since they've been victorious at Anfield.
That's very true. Of course, they're on the back of a 13-game winning run, the best in their history. That's just to balance it up a bit.
Not bad.
Just on Liverpool's problems at the back, of course, we know they've had major injury problems at the centre-back. Ben Davies came in. Ozan Kabak came in on deadline day as well. Yeah. He is now in at the club after that delay. Davies was on the bench in midweek. How big a risk would you see it as throwing maybe him or Kabak into a game of this magnitude? Would that be a gamble?
I think it could potentially be a bigger risk if our central midfielders play in central defence. I think that could be a bigger risk. Listen, we've bought these centre-backs because we need to play them. We don't have any fit senior centre-backs at the club. So if you're not going to play them now, when are they going to get a game? Listen, I know that it's against Man City, a huge one, a lot of pressure. I remember John Flanagan came on in 2011 to start, and we won that one 3-0. Everyone thought, what a huge decision that would be, playing him. But it paid off that night. Different times, of course, 10 years on from that. But listen, if it is huge, I am really looking forward to this one. But the centre-backs for me, I would go with Davis and Nat Phillips. I think Kabak's just a tiny bit off in terms of match fitness. But if we haven't bought them to play them, then Jurgen must be doing is nothing, because they need to play an ASAP.
And if Klopp goes with that centre-back pairing that you mentioned there, that would, of course, mean Jordan Henderson heading back into his more usual place in central midfield. How much has his influence been missed for you there? And in a game of this magnitude, do they have to have him back in that more usual leadership position in the centre of the park?
There is an argument to say that Hendo could maybe see more of the pitch at centre-back. Klopp has obviously joked that if he carries on playing this well, he might have to start him at centre-back every game. Obviously, that's not what the Liverpool fans want. I think the quicker we can get him back into that central berth, the better. You can just, Jules, you just hear him. you can hear him from all over the pitch. I mean, it's a little bit of a nicer screen than Carragher's back in the day, of course, but he's so encouraging. Every single pass, every single 50-50, he's there supporting the players, no matter who it is. The same kind of methods are used if it's Thiago or if it's Nico Williams. He gets behind everyone, and just to have him on the pitch, let alone if he's in defence or midfield, is such a boost for Liverpool. The facts are there that we play so much better and win a lot more games when he's in the team rather than out of it. So having Hendo even on the pitch is a win for me before the game's kicked off.
You mentioned before some of the wins and the results Liverpool have had this season against the so-called bigger teams. The big problem they've had, as you know all too well, is beating the struggling sides in the Premier League. I mean, failing to beat 5 of the bottom 6. Can you put your finger on that? Why do they struggle against the sides they're expected to beat?
I don't think this is just a recent thing. I actually think this has been Liverpool's issue pretty much for the last 25 years since I've been around. We have no issues about geeing ourselves up when it comes to the big teams. It is the teams like Brighton that you so kindly played a VT of here to remind me. It's the teams like Brighton, like Burnley, like Newcastle, Fulham. These kind of teams we just can't put away. And I don't want to say it's complacency, but you have to look, or you can't look past the fact that we've had 21 injuries in our first team squad this season. That has a huge difference. I mean, listen, there is another argument to say, well, Verge was playing, Gomez was playing when we lost 7-2 to Villa, but that was a clear one-off. And I think as soon as they can get back into the team, you will maybe see us start to pick up points against the bottom 6. I never thought I'd say that, to be honest, Jules. I thought it'd be the other way around. But it sounds weird to say it. But yeah, I do think when Gomez, Jota's back especially, we can start putting away these teams in the bottom 6.
Final question for you, Alex. And Andy Robertson said after the Brighton defeat, didn't he, that for him, he doesn't see Liverpool in the title race at the moment. 7 points behind Manchester City, the current leader. So if City win at the weekend, it'd be a 10-point gap. Would there be any way back for Liverpool from that?
I mean, if I was to put a percentage on Liverpool winning the league now, it's probably single figures. If we lose on Sunday, that goes down to 0%. It's funny, Jules, the last time I was on Sky Sports News was back in September when we signed Thiago. And I confidently said, with my chest, that with Thiago, we are going to win the league. It pains me to say that, listen, it's City's to lose. If they don't win on Sunday, of course, we can close that gap with momentum, but we do need them to start losing some games, and we've got a big chance to do that on Sunday. I'm going for 2-1, Jules. I can't lie. I'm going for 2-1.
Which would mean Liverpool scoring at Anfield, which they're not done for a few games, have they? But we'll see what happens on Sunday, Alex. We've got to leave it there. It's been really good getting your thoughts. Thanks very much indeed for joining us.
No worries at all.